So welcome back. Let us now see how we can go ahead and solve an LPP. In the last session, we have seen how to formulate an LPP. I've given you an example also. We will see more of the formulation when we go ahead and solve the problems. So a linear programming problem can be solved by different methods. We will learn one by one. The first one that we are going to learn is the graphical method of solving an LPP. So when can we use a graphical method? As you have seen, while formulating an LPP or in the standard definition of an LPP, you can have n number of decision variables x1, x2, etc., xn. And the solution of an LPP are those values of x1, x2, etc., xn that will optimize your objective function c1, x1 plus etc. cn, xn, which will satisfy all the constraint equations. In the standard case, we had m equations or inequations. So you are, while solving, it means that you are trying to find out that set of values for x1, x2, etc., xn, that is the decision variables, which will either maximize or minimize as the problem demands, which will satisfy all the constraints that is given in the problem. So if I have to solve an LPP, I have to find those x1, x2, etc., xn, which will satisfy all the constraints, and then maximize or minimize the function. There are different methods, as I've already told you: graphical method, simplex method, big M method. So each method is again having a set of constraints, I should say, in solving an LPP. It depends upon the nature of your LPP, by which you decide which method to use. So let us start with the simplest method, I should say, which is the graphical. But again, this is a constraint method, or it is having certain restrictions. As you all know, a graphical method can be applied only when your LPP is involving two decision variables, that is only x1 and x2. So you are going to use the familiar coordinate plane, xy plane, in drawing the graphs of your constraints, identifying the region given by your constraints, then identifying the common region which satisfies all your constraint inequalities, which will be called as your feasible region. And this region contains the set of all feasible solutions of an LPP, which will be a polygon. So before going ahead, you need to understand how do you identify a region given by a constraint inequality when you are going to solve an LPP using the graphical procedure. Since I told you a graphical method can only be used when you have two variables involved, two decision variables involved, x1 and x2, in your objective function and the set of constraints. So graphically, to identify the region, let me give you the region, say for example 2x plus 3y less than 6, 2x plus 3y greater than 6. Suppose these are the two constraints that you have. So what you do is, first you will draw the constraint equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, and then identify which part of that straight line represents your greater than region or else less than region. So let us see, while using the graphical method of solution, how do we identify the regions which are given by your constraints. So we know that any first degree equation in x and y represents a straight line in the xy plane, or your normal Cartesian coordinate system, which you are familiar with. For example, let us consider the equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So this is your xy plane, and this is the straight line 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. And as you know, to plot a straight line in a two-dimensional plane, you need 2 points. So how do I do that? So you can identify 2 points on the straight line. Put x equal to 0, you get y as 2. Put y equal to 0, you get x as 3. So 0, 2 and 3, 0 are the points. You just the x-intercepts and y-intercepts, once you know, you just have to join this straight line, which gives you the equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Just as for an example. So any point x1, y1 lying on the straight line will satisfy the equation 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Now suppose if your 2x plus 3y is less than 6, that means any point x1, y1 should be in that region which will satisfy this inequality. 2x plus 3y is less than 6. And that will be the region. How to identify this region is very easy. So the easiest way is to see whether the origin is contained in that region or not. So origin, the point corresponding to the origin is 0, 0. If I substitute it here, I get 0. And you know that 0 is less than 6. That means it satisfies this inequality. That means 0 should lie in the region 2x plus 3y is less than 6. So anytime I have a straight line in a two-dimensional plane, it divides the entire plane into 2 regions. I can identify those regions as one containing the origin, the other one not containing the origin. So if I have to identify the region which is less than or greater than, the easiest way is to identify whether the region is containing the origin or not. So here, if I have to consider the region 2x plus 3y is less than 6, I know that it's a region containing the origin. So this is my region, which is shaded or marked with the vertical lines. And 2x plus 3y greater than 6, you know that 0 greater than 6 is not a correct inequality. That means this is the region which does not contain the origin. Okay, so you have a region containing the origin, that is this polynomial less than 6. This polynomial greater than 6 is the region which does not contain the origin. Thus all the points satisfying the inequality lies on that side of the line 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, which contains the origin, and 2x plus 3y greater than or equal to 6 represents the set of all points lying on the other side which does not contain the origin. So based on this fact, we can find the region represented by the constraint inequality. For each constraint, we will obtain a region, and the intersection of all these regions represents the set of points which satisfies all the constraints, and it is called the feasible region. So you have just seen how to identify a region represented by a constraint inequality. So each constraint will give you a region, and the intersection of all these regions will represent set of points that will satisfy all the constraints that is given in an LPP. And this region, the intersection of all these regions, is called the feasible region, and this region will contain the set of all feasible solutions of an LPP, and it is in the form of a polygon. So whenever you have an LPP that is an objective function and a set of constraints. In graphical method, what you do is you draw the straight lines given by the constraints, change the constraint inequality to equality, draw those straight lines, identify the region given by the constraints, either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to which part of the straight line is it, whether it is a region containing the origin or not. So find the intersection of all these regions, which is called the feasible region, and as you know, the solution will lie in this region. All the feasible solutions or the set of solutions that would either maximize or minimize your objective function would be lying in this region of intersection of all your constraints, because you are trying to find out set of all x1 x2 which will satisfy all your constraints, and then from that you have to choose a point which will maximize or minimize your objective function. Now, before going ahead and solving a problem by graphical method, we need to understand some results which will help you to identify in this entire region of intersection of your feasible region, the point set of all points in the feasible region, where does your optimal points lie. See, it is going to be difficult for you to consider all the points inside a feasible region for a maxima or a minima. So there are certain results which will help you to identify where will these optimal values lie in the feasible region identified. Identifying a feasible region, now you have understood. So when I have to consider the optimization part of the objective function, where do I search for the points? Well, should all the points in the feasible region be considered, which is impossible because it is having infinite number of points. So for that we need to identify where is the chance of occurrence of these optimal values lie. So let us see some results on these. First, let us see what is a convex set. Before going ahead with the graphical solution of an LPP, let us see some results which will help you to understand how we are using this method of solution for an LPP, for solving an LPP. So let us understand what is a convex set. A subset X, subset of R2, that is your R cross R, where R is your real line. It is said to be convex if for any 2 points P and Q in X, the line segment PQ is completely contained in X. So mathematically talking, what is it? Any point R on the line joining P and Q, you know that it is given by lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y, where lambda lies in the closed interval 0, 1, which is called the convex combination, where x and y are the points x1, x2 and y1, y2 respectively. So if that is the case, this lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y will give you the coordinates lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda y1 and lambda x2 plus 1 minus lambda y2. So x is convex if this point lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y is an element of X. That means whenever you have a set X which is convex, so any 2 points can be joined by a straight line completely contained in X. So X is convex if the point lambda x plus 1 minus lambda y is an element of X, where lambda belongs to the closed interval 0, 1. So here x and y are any 2 points of X. So these are some examples of a convex set. So to understand it better, so to understand that example better, I'll just show you a figure. Suppose X is my set. It's you can consider it as a circle or an ellipse. So your X is the set of all points inside and on that curve which I have drawn, which can be a circle or an ellipse according to the way it is shown. So it is a convex set, obviously, by the definition. So I have 2 points, say x comma y inside, sorry, p and q inside the set x, and if I join it using a straight line, and you know that it is straight line is fully contained in the set x. Okay, so here r was the point on the straight line. So any random point taken on the straight line should be inside x. That is what was given by lambda x plus 1 minus lambda into y, where lambda lies between 0 and 1. So whenever we are talking about convex set examples, let me show you some examples which are non-convex sets. Here you can see this is the annular region between the two concentric circles, and this is my set. Okay, the set of all points which is lying in between, and you can clearly see that it's not convex, because if I have a point here and another point here, so whenever I join a straight line, it is definitely containing the points which is not in the region, that is the inner circle. So in the same way, the next example also. So here I have a point here and I have another point here. If I draw a straight line, it is going to be containing the points which is outside x. A convex set will never have such a region. Whenever you draw a straight line, then it will be fully contained in the region. Now, if a point in x cannot be expressed as a convex combination of any 2 points of x, then it is called an extreme point of x. So now we have just defined the convex set and understood what it is. To actually understand the 2 theorems which is going to be coming ahead, which will help us to identify where the points would lie in the feasible region, which would give you an optimal value. So there are actually 2 theorems. First one is which says that the intersection of 2 convex sets is also a convex set. We will see the proof of it. The proof is very simple, and the second result is actually helping you to identify where those points which will optimize your objective function lies in the feasible region. The second theorem is like this. Let S be a convex set in the plane R2 bounded by lines. Then the linear function z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2, where x1 and x2 are elements of S, the convex set, and c1, c2 are the scalars. So you know that your objective function is always a linear function in the variables x1 and x2. Here we are only considering an objective function with 2 variables, as I have told, because we are discussing graphical solution here. So the theorem says that the linear function c1x1 plus c2x2, where x1 and x2 are points in your convex set S and c1, c2 are scalars, attains its optimal value, that is either the minimum or maximum, at the vertices of S. And you know that a feasible region which is a polygon which you are going to obtain. So you identify the regions given by the constraints, the intersection of all those, which will give you a polygon, and this theorem ensures that its optimal value will be lying on the vertices of the polygon. So let us see the proof of these 2 theorems for a better understanding, and then we will go ahead and see examples of solving an LPP using a graphical method. As I've just stated, the theorem statement is the intersection of 2 convex sets is also a convex set. Let us quickly see the proof. For a better understanding, I'll just display the steps so that it will be easy for you to understand when I'm explaining. The proof goes like this. Let x1 and x2 be two convex sets, and let us consider the intersection of them. I call it as x1 intersection x2. Now let small x1 and x2 be elements of x. So that means x1 and x2 is contained in the set x1. Also x1 and x2 is contained in x2. Now since it is contained in x1 and x1 is a convex set, so lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 is an element of x1 for any lambda which is contained in the closed interval 0, 1. Now the same argument works for the set x2 also, because x2 is a convex set. Lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 will belong to x2, the set x2, where lambda, for any lambda which is contained in 0, 1, closed interval 0, 1. So I can say lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 belongs to x1 intersection x2, that is the set x1 intersection x2, which you called as x. So for any, I started with x1 x2 element of x, and now I have proved that x1 and x2 lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 belongs to x. That is what you exactly want to prove that a set x is convex by definition. So this is one of the important results which will be used to find out the solution of an LPP in a graphical method. So I have just stated, I'll just state it again. The second theorem which will be useful for us, as I've discussed, would be the one on identifying the maximum or minimum of a linear combination of 2 points x1 and x2. So okay, let us be a convex set in the plane R2 bounded by lines. Then a linear function. We know that in an LPP we are going to consider linear functions only, which would be your objective function. So z is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2, where x1 x2 is an element of S and c1 and c2 are scalars, attains its extreme values, that's maxima or minima, at the vertices of S. Let us quickly see the proof. So I am going to consider any 2 points A, x1 x2 and B, x1 dash x2 dash of S. S is a convex set, you know that. So when I draw the line segment AB, any point on this line segment can be given by the convex combination of the coordinates A and B. Suppose P is a point theta eta on the line segment AB. So the x coordinate of P is given by lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x1 dash, and the y coordinate of P is given by lambda x2 plus 1 minus lambda x2 dash. Now let us find what is the value of z at these points A and B. The value of z at A is given by z1 is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2. Similarly, the value of z at B is given by z2 is equal to c1 x1 dash plus c2 x2 dash. Now the value of z at P would be, I'll call it as z bar, c1 into the x coordinate of P plus c2 into y coordinate of P, that is c1 zeta plus c2 eta. So let me substitute the values of theta and eta, which we know, which are the convex combination of the points x1, y1 and x1 dash, y1 dash. So I replace those values. So what I get is, I take lambda common, so it becomes lambda into c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus 1 minus lambda into c1 x1 dash plus c2 x2 dash. So the terms in the bracket can be identified as your z1 and z2, because those are the values of z evaluated at the points A and B. So it becomes lambda z1 plus 1 minus lambda z2, which is nothing but lambda into z1 minus z2 plus z2. So here lambda, you know that by definition it is a point in the closed interval 0, 1. Now there are two possibilities. If z1 is greater than z2, then z bar will be a point in between z1 and z2. That is z2 less than or equal to z bar less than or equal to z1. Now second case, if z2 is greater than z1, then obviously z bar will again lie between z1 and z2. The inequality would be z1 less than or equal to z bar less than or equal to z2. So that means in any case z bar should lie between the values of z at A and B, where A and B are any 2 points of S. So in the case P is an interior point of S, in case this P is an interior point of S, it lies on the line segment AB with A and B on the two edges of S. Hence the extreme value of Z cannot occur at P, because at P the value was Z bar, and you understood that Z bar will always lie between Z1 and Z2, irrespective whether Z1 is greater than Z2 or Z2 greater than Z1. So this is the case. So that means now suppose P is lying on an edge of S. That means it lies on the line segment AB with A and B as two vertices, and therefore Z lies between the values at the vertices. Hence the extreme value of Z cannot be obtained at a point on an edge of S. That means the extreme value of Z is attained only at one vertex of S. So the theorem was the same. That means the extreme value, the maxima or minima, will be attained only at the vertices of S. This was our result which we are trying to prove, and we have easily proved the result.